Hello guys, and we're going to read First Nature Bee. Over here on this dandelion, I think, it says with a flap in every scene. A scene is like a setting. So when you read a book for basically it was like a calm day. The sea was calm, and it was like the atmosphere was so calm, and everyone was joyful. You can get that picture in their head, basically. That's what the scene is. So over here, we've obviously got a bee. But the only thing I've noticed is, where's the stinger? Look, sort of somewhere. I'm not sure if that is the stinger thing, but yeah. Bees just want to be left alone sometimes. They just try to protect themselves. They don't sting you on purpose. It's just their way of protecting themselves. Not really themselves, because they die after they sting. But enough of talking about bees at the moment. It's just they just sting, that's it really. Buzzy bee zooms and Buzzy bee flies. Buzzy bee looks and Buzzy bee spies. This is like a poem now on each page. Think about it. Because it don't really rhyme, but they sound like a poem. Not all poems need to rhyme. Let's see what. Here's a flap under the bee. Let's see what the bee says. Off bee goes. She's in search of some flowers. They need flowers to make nectar. Nectar's it's like they use nectar to make honey. Let's see what they're gonna do next. The bee's gonna do next. Buzzy bee lands and Buzzy bee thinks. Buzzy bee sips and Buzzy bee drinks. So what they're saying on this. So Buzzy bee lands on a flower to the bee, and then the Buzzy bee's thinking. Then the Buzzy bees use their it's like a straw, people call it, and then they go put it in the nectar part. That's the middle of the flower with the orangey bit. They sip some of it, and then it goes into a pouch. It's like they have two stomachs, and it's one stomach and let's see, this is a dandelion. You might have seen them many times at gardens and stuff. They're weird weeds. Honeybees collect nectar. That's what I've mentioned. A sweet liquid in flowers. That's the middle part. That's where it's hidden. Not hidden, but yeah. Buzzy bee floats and Buzzy bee flips. Buzzy bee dives and Buzzy bee dips. Maybe it's a little hard to think what it's doing at the moment when you think of an actual bee. I think what they don't really float. Bees don't float. I think they're flying, and then they do some twirling loops, and then they go down, and then I'm not sure actually what they're doing. Look, this is their home. So, they live in a colony. That it might a beehive, and a group of bees going outside would be a swarm. So that means it's like a group, lots of it, not just one. It's and when they're together in here, it's called a colony. I think it's gonna mention under this one. Home safe and sound. Honeybees live in a group called a colony. So you see all these bees? They live in this. Their home right here, and a group of them would be called a colony. It's like sheep. They call them herds. And no, I think it's a flock of sheep. Yeah, it's a flock of sheep. It's like flocks of birds. But when you grow up, you'll understand. Buzzy bee trade and buzzy bee swap. Buzzy bee flap and buzzy bee stop. So, what they're saying is, so not trading like Pokemon trading with cards and stuff. I'm not sure why kids do that, but yeah, they do that. So they mean so they give like honey and they sort of make them. So by giving it to other bees and passing it on, I think, and they swap is like what they mean, like passing it on to people. Bees and they flap to it. I think that's what this means. And then buzzy bee, like when they finished, they stop and put in these. I'm not sure what they're called, but that's inside the nest. Other bees turn nectar into honey. Yum. That's what you eat, like honey on toast, porridge with honey. The bees make it for you. Humans can't make it. Not even if they try, they wouldn't be able. Buzzy bee waggles and buzzy bee wiggles. Buzzy bee jives and buzzy bee jiggles. Well, it's like a bee dance, basically. So they move to tell where the flowers are. So, for example, there was like a flower on the other side of your house, and there's a bee on the other side. Then there's a lot of them, and then they like do a little dance, and then they follow that bee, goes to the flower, and then gets all the nectar. I think it's going to explain in this one too. Time for a bee boogie. Honey bees dance to tell each other where the flowers are. That's just like I'm saying. Look, these are like two bees trying to like wiggle, 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 and then tell them where the flowers are. I think this one is telling this one where it is. Because it's like flew over and they're like, big, 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 come on, follow me. It's like follow the leaders. Buzzy bee watch and buzzy bee learn. Buzzy bee twists and buzzy bee turns. I think what they mean, like the buzzy bee looks when they're a little kid. They learn when they watch, and then they fly away and have a turn to try to do it. Now this is the last. I almost forgot about the flaps. After the bees have learned to dance, they all set off to collect some nectar. It's a little big for unusually big for these flowers. Usually bees are the tiny ones and the flowers are the big ones. Maybe just drawn wrong or something. But for real, the bees are very small. Buzzy bee leave. Buzzy bee search, buzzy bee comes, and buzzy bee perch. Perch is like, when you think of a parrot, here's your arm. They fly down and sit on your arm. It's like perched. So what they mean leave, so they leave the hive, and they search for flowers, then they come to the flower, and then the bees like settle in. Not settle in, it's like living in it, but they just go in and suck all the nectar and everything. Let's see this flap. Bees spread a special dust from plants called pollen. This makes seeds turn into beautiful flowers. So pollen is like a dust, like they mentioned. So because when like there's flowers, if there's like a weak flower and there's a big strong flower, the bee going to the strong flower, goes to the weak flower, and then so when they're on the big flower, like the pollen sticks onto the bee's legs and body, and then when they fly down, it eventually just falls off. It sprinkles on the ground, and when they're on there, some of them just get shaken off onto there, and then they suck it. They just do every single place in the world. Thank you for reading with me. Keep out for the next video. I hope you like my videos. Please like and subscribe if you like them. Bye guys, and thanks.